Okay, so Project PHaEDRA, the PHaEDRA part stands for Preserving Harvard's Early Data and Research in Astronomy. And this is the main website to go to for all the information about it. We've compiled a lot of different historical information, reading lists, and all kinds of things, information about these office hours, and that's all available there on the website. Project PHaEDRA started in earnest in 2016, so over 5 years ago now. And at the heart of it is a physical collection of historical materials, these notebooks. And these were the actual working notebooks of the staff of the Harvard College Observatory. And so this is where they would make calculations, sketch things right at the eyepiece. So coming up, we'll see some sketches that were done. And what we're working on a lot with Project PHaEDRA are notes based on what they're seeing on glass plate photographs. And so these were the notebooks where they would actually record measurements. So record how bright a star is, record the variability of the brightness, and things like that. Starting in 2016, the first step in the project was to digitize all the notebooks, meaning take very high quality photos of them, so that we could share them, the digital versions online as a PDF or as a JPEG. So we partnered with Harvard Imaging Services, and you can see a staff person there taking a picture of one of the notebooks with the setup they have over there, which is very nice and high tech with very good lighting. And then the cool part that we're doing now is working directly with people to transcribe the notebooks and enhance what we call the metadata, meaning information about what's in the notebooks. And so we have 2 online projects for that. One is through the Smithsonian Transcription Center. And this one we call our full transcription, in the sense that what we're asking volunteers to do is look at each digitized scan of a notebook page, or sometimes 2 pages, and write down everything that they see. And the tricky part with this, there's 2 tricky things. One is that it's cursive handwriting, often done in pencil, so it can be hard to read. And then the other tricky part is that it's often dense tables of numbers and things like that are just sort of difficult to transcribe, especially when you're new to the project. There are techniques that people have shared with us that can help, like putting a ruler over your screen or something, so that you can keep track of where you are, things like that. So this project on the Smithsonian Transcription Center started about 5 years ago. Then in 2020, we launched a new part on a platform called the Zooniverse, which is just searching for specific things within the notebooks. And if you find them, just transcribing those. And these specific things we call plate numbers. And so these are references back to the original glass plate photographs that make up a lot of the work that was done at the observatory from around 1880 through the 1950s. And the famous Harvard women computers, whose work was described by Davis Sobel in The Glass Universe, that was what The Glass Universe is all about, is this giant collection of glass plate photographs of the night sky that were taken by the observatory. And then a lot of research was done with those plates, both cataloging the position and color and brightness of the stars, but also studying their variability and things like that. And so what we're asking volunteers on the Zooniverse to do is just to look for these plate numbers, and if they find one, make a box around it and just transcribe the plate number. So it's a little bit a different kind of task. That has been really successful, though, and we're already through almost all of the plate numbers in all 2,500 notebooks, which is pretty amazing. So we're going to transition the Zooniverse project starting this spring and into the summer to a new phase where we're going to be asking people instead to look for anything in the notebooks that's non-textual. So anything that's not an alphanumeric character. And then if they find one of those things, like a sketch or a diagram or a drawing of some kind, a doodle, to put a box around that and categorize it. And so in this picture here, this is just a sample of the interface I'm building. These are pictures of the moon in a phase, in a crescent. And so there's sketches of the moon. And you can see then I would categorize that as an astronomical sketch. In this next one, this isn't a sketch, this is a diagram or graph. This is a graph plotting the magnitude of stars. All right, so I'm gonna stop. And so just to reemphasize, this is going to be this new phase of the Zooniverse. We're going to pilot it sort of as a beta workflow. If you're familiar with the Zooniverse platform, we've been having people's names. So pretty soon you'll see a little beta workflow for this new phase in the spring, but then by the summer, we think we'll be out of plate numbers. So it will transition completely to this new type of finding things to categorize. And I think in comparison to the plate numbers, it will be a little bit more of a treasure hunt in the sense that we think that fewer of the total pages in the notebooks have something non-textual. So it'll be a little bit more of going through quickly, looking for these special pages. But we think it'll be fun because once you find one, it's always fun to find something sort of interesting in the notebooks. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing and turn it over to Katie.
Hi, thanks, Nico. Can you enable screen sharing for me?
Yeah, oh, sorry.
That's okay. As I kind of said earlier, I'm going to talk about a project that I'm working on that is actually taking information from both the Transcription Center and Zooniverse and putting the information together onto a new platform. So I'm going to just demo this platform, and here we go. And I'll give you a link to it later because it actually is already live on the website. But as it says here, as you can see, this is sort of beta, it's in progress. There's going to be incorrect data or stuff that's missing as we go through. But I just wanted to make it available because I think it could be interesting for people to see. So as the title says, the main point of this is to connect these PHaEDRA notebooks with the glass plates. And there's an ongoing project at the observatory to digitize these photographic glass plates of the night sky and make the science data available. So we have that kind of connected in here as well. So first I'm going to start looking at the list of notebooks that I have. And just to start off with, this subset these are just the Henrietta Leavitt notebooks. There's like 50 notebooks here. And they're only hers right now. This is just the first set we're working with. So if you're interested in looking at, what plates are mentioned on any of these notebooks, you can just click into the notebook. And it does take a little bit of time because there's a lot of stuff in the database and I haven't quite optimized my queries yet. It's beta site, as I said. So just give it a minute here. So this lists all the individual page images. And then actually below is a list of all of the plates that were mentioned in this specific notebook that were found by Zooniverse volunteers. So it's quite an extensive list for this notebook. And I'm going to start back here at the plate images. So this is like image number 8, but it's not necessarily page 8. And that's because some of the images have 2 pages. Some of them, like image 1 is going to be the cover and image 2 is going to be like front matter. So they don't really line up with the page numbers at the moment. So I'm just calling them images. So this is image 8, for example. Actually, I want to go back and I want to look at image 95. So on this page, you can get a link to the image at ADS. So just the full image. You can get a link to the full PDF So to give you that page in context, here's the full PDF will load here. Might take a little bit, so I'm just not gonna let that finish. And I also have a link to the page on Zooniverse, which is useful because sometimes, and like this one has a note that someone made a comment. So you can kind of see what those comments are by clicking at the Zooniverse page. And just so you can see how it works, we have plate AM273 and AM723, and all these plates have been, you can see them on the page. And indeed, we have AM273, AM723, and AM1160. These are all plates that were identified by our volunteers at Zooniverse, and I'm just listing all the plates seen on that page according to our volunteers right here as a nice list. And I'll just also say this is an alphanumeric list instead of mirroring the order they are on the page. It just makes it easier to look through if it's an alphabetic and numeric order. And then another thing you can do is you can click on one of these plate numbers and you get taken to this page, which gives some information about the plate taken from the digitization project, as well as all of the references in the database where this plate is mentioned, according, again, to our Zooniverse volunteers. So thank you very much for all your work. So you can see this plate was mentioned in volume PHaEDRA 0950, and it's on image 88, and you can just click there and go to that page and see all the plates that are listed there. So that's pretty cool. I like that you can go back and forth between those two. So if I go back to that plate we were looking at, I'll also add that if you click on this link here, it takes you out to DASH, which is Digital Access to Sky Sentry at Harvard. This is that plate scanning project I mentioned earlier. So here you can find more information. I have, the observatory name. This stuff I captured on my page, but there's additional information here, like the right ascension and declination. So the area of the sky that the plate is looking at, the date that the plate was taken. So this was taken in 1901 on November 13th, it looks like. Some other information about like how long the exposure, there you go, exposure time. Oh, they don't have it in minutes here. There's some more information here about, the scanning process at the CFA. Just some extra information if you wanted to see, it's all right there. So, okay, so that's, if you start with notebooks, you get the list of notebooks. You can also start by browsing plates. And this is something we're hoping will be useful for, for artists or historians. So they're looking at a plate and they want to know, which computer worked on the plate, who made the markings. So if they have a particular plate number, and they'll also get information about what was done with that plate. So one that was of interest was A3657. So I just clicked in the A series, and there's a lot here. And again, it's alphanumeric order. So you just can scroll down to 3657 right here. And you can see that it was referenced on all these different notebook pages. And I want to show this page in particular because I'm starting to bring in the work from the Smithsonian Transcription Center. So here I have an example of that full transcription that was done, and I have it right here on the page. You can actually read what someone else has interpreted the page rather than looking at it yourself. If you look at it here, it might be hard to read. Maybe if I zoomed in or something. Well, somehow it's a little hard to read. If you zoomed in, you could read it, but I also have the text right here so you can understand what's going on. So this particular plate, they were looking at images of Jupiter to kind of verify the 8th satellite of that planet. And there's information here about what was done. There's tables of data and the transcription here. I don't have everything quite working, like I said. Like this will link out to the page in the Transcription Center eventually as well. But I don't have that quite yet. And also, so I just go to the next image. Here's the transcription. So I have a script that tries to convert these tags to HTML tags. And so in this case, there was this kind of double, is that a backslash, forward slash? I can never remember the difference, a double slash. So my script didn't read that was an ending of an underlined phrase. And so in the HTML, the underline just kind of keeps going and going and going and going all the way to the end of the page over here. So, just little things I need to go clean up eventually for various reasons. And also, as I said, there are, other things that might be of note or interest here. There's, things that we should be aware of as we're working through the project. We have these AE series plates, and if I click on one of these, it can't be found on Dash. So that might mean that it hasn't been digitized, it hasn't gone through the process, or it could possibly mean that there's a misreading of the plate number from the Zooniverse. So there's just a lot of different things that are going on that this helps kind of bring to light. So yeah, I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Although I will share the URL here in the chat, and I'll pass it on to Sydney to talk about where we're going for our next few office hours.
All right, thank you, Katie. I just need to share my screen. Sorry, my computer is a little bit slow. You guys see anything?
Not yet.
I'm sorry.
You could try maybe stopping the share and starting it again. I don't know if that would help. But
Yeah, I think my tab is just not responding, so it's now interfering with the share. I don't know. Of course, it worked fine before. Okay, let's see if it will let me do it now.
you could share the URL maybe, and I could share it on my screen if that would work. I don't know if it's something that's, oh, it seems to be
Do you
going.
see it? Okay. The presentation should be
Still
loading. I will share it with you because I think it's just my computer and it's only one slide, so I will do that.
Okay. Technical snafus, they always get you.
Oh yeah. Always during the meeting when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But while this is loading so that I can share it with Katie, I can just say that we're going to be hosting office hours the next 3 months, and they're going to be for a book club. So very exciting. We're doing the second Tuesdays in our usual office hour time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to be talking about a few books, and I will have those on the screen in just a moment. But we're going to talk about the Glass Universe, and we're going to talk about Rise of the Rock Girls and Hidden Figures, but we're doing it in the order of Glass Universe, Hidden Figures, and then Rise of the Rocket Girls.
I know your slide isn't quite working, but I can share the office hours information from the website. Is this good?
Yeah. I think that might be pretty much everything that I'm going to say. So
Okay.
well, I can't even get it to load enough to share it with you. So that's good. But yeah, and you can see here the pictures of the covers. So we're going to read The Glass Universe first, and I know many of you may have already read it, but if you haven't, there's a link on this website for the office hours where you can find a link to take you to the a library search page where you can see in your area where you can find the book at a library. And then there's also a link. The chapter focuses on Wilhelmina Fleming's Journal for the Chest of 1900 project at Harvard. And there's a link there that you can click that will take you to, I believe, a transcription of the journal. So if you can't get the book, you can just read that, or you can read that in addition to the chapter. It was very interesting. I really enjoyed this chapter, so I'm excited that we're going to talk about it. Yeah, and on this page, you can also see the place where you can register for the office hour link for the book club meeting. And you can do that for all of them, I believe. So you can just go ahead and register for all of them. And yeah, March 8th, April 12th, May 10th. So
And I'll
really
just
exciting.
add, like with the Glass Universe, for the next couple of books, we're going to be focusing on one chapter from each. So if you don't have time, to read the entire book, you could focus on that chapter first, and then because that's what we'll be discussing. But we haven't picked the chapters yet for the final two books, but we will be announcing those soon.